Thank you. The current government shutdown is the longest now in history.
It's prompted several labor groups now to sue the government over lost wages. Here now to break down those cases, Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, a lot to get to. The latest on these cases, because the lawsuits kind of waited a few weeks to kick in, and now that people are losing money and not getting paid, here we go.
That's exactly right, Raul. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the fact that nobody expected it would go on for as long as it did.
Right.
Now, no doubt behind the scenes, lawyers were already laying the groundwork and looking and doing their legal research. But here we are. Now they've actually been missing paychecks. And let's face it, you know, there are some people that live paycheck to paycheck. We tend to not think about that when it comes to a shutdown scenario. Oh, well, they don't have to go to work. They also, if you're an essential employee, like many of these TSA agents and Coast Guards and some of the other air traffic controllers, I mean, talk about people that can't afford not to return to work, but they also can't afford to work because not only are they not getting paid, they're losing the ability to find alternate employment. Many of them said, hey, we would drive for Uber if we could. Oh, wow. We would do anything because we need to put food on the table, and we can't. That's the basis of some of these lawsuits.
Wow.
I heard a story this morning about a mom whose teenage son now is having to pick up extra hours because they just don't have the money, and she feels horrible that her son has to help. Why did they wait so long to do this? Did they just not expect that it was going to take this long and it was something that was just going to wrap up quickly, or?
Well, on the one hand, there are some, Shelley, that say that's true. But on the other hand, people are quoting the president saying, oh, it could be months or even years. Hopefully that's just rhetorical hyperbole. Yeah. Hopefully that's not true.
He said that a couple times.
That's the other thing, Raul, is there's a consistency to it. So what they're looking at now is and these are not the traditional lawsuits just seeking, you know, like money up front. They are seeking to have court rulings, have determinations that this is unconstitutional. There's no such thing as involuntary servitude in our country. So these are some of the bases of these lawsuits. Many of them are groundbreaking, and it's a good thing for many of these unions and these workers that we're going to sort out some of these issues sooner rather than later. Many of them are being heard this week.
What does that mean in terms of what the lawsuits are aiming to do in terms of when there's another government shutdown, they'll still get paid? Are they looking to break ground that way in terms of changing the laws?
Yeah, a little of everything. A little of everything. There's a number of different lawsuits. Some are able to be consolidated because they're seeking the same types of things. Because there's a difference between getting back pay and being furloughed. Mm-hmm. Back pay doesn't help me today. I can't pay my car payment, my mortgage, all of the other things that we need money for today. We can't use that money retroactively. On the other hand, people that are furloughed, they don't get back pay because they didn't work. They weren't permitted to work. So there's lots of different issues being litigated, but many of the people affected are saying, let's get these cases heard now so we can either get back to work or get paid.
Is there a lack of consideration for these people? Because you can't just say, you're going to get this back pay. We're in day 25 right now. This is getting right down to it. You mentioned that people aren't getting paid. And is there a lack of consideration for the people who are desperately in need of that money now?
Yeah, they would say that that's right. And Shali, your story, it's those human stories about real people being impacted that the rest of us can relate to, that no doubt is also catching the eyes and the ears of Congress to try to get some sort of a deal to reopen it so we can get back to normal as the other issues politically can be worked through.
Wendy, the CEO of Delta Airlines said today his company's losing $25 million a month because of the shutdown. Could they sue? Could other companies now start to sue?
And that's the question, Shelley, is now we're seeing how the ripple effect of the shutdown is all of the other industries that are being negatively impacted. Their employees, their customers are now feeling the impact of this. So as more and more companies and more people become affected, you can only hope that that would speed up the Congress people resolving their differences, or at least coming to a compromise to open the government, get these people back to work, get them paid, because you're right, collateral damage is growing by the day, as that Delta story illustrates.
I'm going to give you a loaded question before we let you go. How much are politics playing a part in all of this? Go, Wendy.
Well, the unions would say it's not a part of it because it's a bipartisan issue. Getting paid is a bipartisan issue, as is what I always call the kitchen table test. Feeding your family, you know, just really the basic necessities. But you're right that that's definitely an issue in political circles, so it's a good question.
Wendy Patrick, I thank you as always.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Still ahead on the Fox 5.